Today we are joined by one of the funniest impressionists out there. He's an actor and comedian, and you've seen him on Mad TV in films like The Three Stooges, Beverly Hills Ninja with Chris Farley, Happy Gilmore alongside Adam Sandler, and Best in Show. He's also had roles in shows like Louder Milk, Less Than Perfect, and Young Sheldon, and is known for his hilarious podcast work. On top of all of that, he's a lifelong pro wrestling fan and has even appeared in WWE doing some funny sketches. Please welcome Will Sasso. One of your iconic characters was playing Tony Soprano, and that impression, man, was so spot on. And I love
Oh,
how like every
cheers.
time, I love it every time you're about to swear, it just gets cut off, and because that's literally how the
Right.
show was. Every minute there was always something going on, and it was very relatable too in the sense where, like growing up Italian, everyone's always yelling, there's always swearing going on. But I want to
Yeah.
know what went into building that character, and I'm actually curious. Did like James Gandolfini or anybody connected to The Sopranos ever compliment you on your impression of that?
I met I met I met Steve Sharippa and Vinny Pastore. I did meet James Gandolfini once very briefly. And Tony, I'm forgetting the last name of the gentleman who plays Paulie
Oh,
Walnuts.
Sirico, yeah.
Tony Sirico. Yeah, worked with Vincent Pastore very briefly, and then had a great time. But yeah, I remember that if I'm remembering correctly, Tony Sirico was the only one who was like, "Hey, you did that thing." I don't know. That's all he said. I don't know if he dug it or not. Hey, you did that thing. So yeah, which is cool. For me, it's like all the weird stuff we did on Mad TV. I'd prefer to not run into anyone that I lampoon because it's like it's like all right, I'm doing this. It's all right. It's nothing like you, or we took it too far or whatever. I really don't want to. I never bring it up if I meet people, but
Hmm.
yeah, we just that sketch was. Such a pure sketch. It was written by a guy named Brian Adams, not the Canadian rock star, um, who's a fantastic comedy writer who just had that very pure idea of like, oh, it's The Sopranos, but it's on this PAX network, which is like a Christian cable network, so they can't swear. Boom, and then he, like all the, I mean, just sort of like what are the top five scenes we would have, like. He's got the wife, and he's talking to Carmela and Meadow, and he's at the table. He's with the guys back, in the back of the Bada Bing, and they're worried about this or that. He's got to shoot someone in the head in his office, and yeah, I remember it came out. We did it right after the show started. So back then, you'd get a VHS tape from our research department. I just kind of watched the pilot over and over again and tried to get him, tried to get his essence.
Yeah, and I always found funny about The Sopranos, and it's like a running meme now. Like Tony Soprano's breathing, it like almost became its own
Yeah,
character. Every
yeah,
time, like, and that's how you get into
yeah,
like, Christopher, what the fuck? The fuck?
yeah,
You gotta squint your eyes open. Like, 'cause the breathing became so good,
yeah.
and then you see James Gandolfini in real life. Nothing like that, man. That's how you
No,
know you like he was perfect for that character. Like, you were a fan of the show, I'm,
yeah,
I'm assuming, right?
yeah. Absolutely. I did not catch on to it until way later, way later. I didn't watch it when it came out, mostly because it was like this is a weird actor thing, but I had done this thing on the show, and you sort of get locked into the impression, and then it airs, and I'm like, I'm changing the impression a little bit, but I don't want to see. It's weird. This is very counterintuitive and super actory, but it's like I didn't want to watch too much of the show because I would have been like, oh, I want to go back and do that again. Like I want to change this
Hmm.
and that. Like there are things that it's like when you leave a performance in your wake, you're kind of like, I don't want to see that again. I don't want to know about that again. It's out there. It has nothing to do with me anymore. And therefore, in a weird way, this classic show that once I watched, I was like, I mean, this is one of the finest shows ever, sort of fell by the wayside by proxy. It's sort of like, I don't want to know anything about I know The Sopranos is great. The Sopranos is great. But we did one or two weird sketches, so I don't want to watch it again. The dumbest thing. And then, a couple of years go by, and then you want to watch the show. And I mean, that character, whatever. Tony Soprano is one of the most interesting, I guess you could call him
Anti-hero, right?
yeah, definitely an anti-hero, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And well, you've done a lot of impressions, man, like Al Pacino, Adam Sandler, Arnold Schwarzenegger. What would you say is the hardest impression to pull off out of all the ones you've done?
Well, it's funny you mentioned Al Pacino. I always say anytime I've done Al Pacino, it's Frank Caliendo's Al Pacino. It's not even mine. It's my old pal Frank Caliendo's, just literally mimicking exactly what Frank does when he does Al Pacino, which is and to answer your question, sort of the parlor trick of impressions. You kind of, to me, it's like, you either have a throat that's shaped like that guy's throat and you can do it. Oh, my voice box is similarly constructed, or you can't. And then and that to me, that's kind of it. Like, it's like, and, I don't really do them outside of like sometimes doing them in podcasts and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't really have a reason to do them. So it's like, it's like I have fun with them, but then it's like you see people like Frank, for example, and Ari Spears, who I mentioned, and people like that get these can do so many different impressions. It's really Melissa Villasenor, who's a pal. She's incredible with impressions, or James Austin Johnson. I always talk about. He's on Saturday Night Live right now. His impressions are ridiculous. There's that kid Matthew Friend.
Matt Friend. He does a great Jeff Goldblum impression. Oh my
just
God,
like
incredible!
Weird. Anyone who can do more than like a half dozen impressions, okay, maybe they have some sort of, I don't know, some sort of discernible skill. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, and
see, because I can probably do north of 6 impressions, and I don't consider myself to even.
No, you are,
be
man.
an
Trust me.
impressionist.
No, you are. Trust me. Every impression you do is just spot on. But even like when you did like Arnold Schwarzenegger, you did like what, a full podcast doing him, like
a few times, yeah.
Yeah, but when you do that, like, doesn't it, like, I know this might sound crazy and it probably doesn't even make sense, but when you're doing it for so long, especially like, let's say like 30 minutes, let's just say, or an hour, it's almost like you start to lose your mind a bit. Like, I'm actually trying to be that. I'm him. That's it. Is that how you feel sometimes?
Well, sometimes it's like you kind of you have some of their isms and some of the things they say, and you're going to do it for a while, so you kind of look up some shit and go, oh, I'll talk about this, but then it just becomes your own. You're just which is the fun sort of illusion, I think, for impressions. Like, anybody who rambles on as in one impression, to me, it's funnier the less you're saying, the less that your what you're saying is what that person would say. It becomes, a little more absurd, and therefore could get into something funny. So, yeah, so long as I guess the lame way of saying that is just sound like the person for a while.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and
Just do that.
I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast too that you've appeared on WWE. You're obviously a big pro wrestling fan. And I'm curious to know, what was your most memorable story from working in that world? You got to work with so many cool people, even like Stone Cold Steve Austin, which that was really cool. The Hulk Hogan stuff, like when you dressed like him. But I want to know what your most memorable moment or story was from that.
Look, yeah, I'm such a wrestling geek that it's like anytime I've had the pleasure of doing anything with one of these promotions like WWE, or I did something with WCW way back in the day with Bret Hart, who's, such a, maybe the best in-ring performer, period. He's up there on a Mount Rushmore as far as wrestlers, with like, I don't know, whatever you want to say, whoever your guys are, Ric Flair, Bruno Sammartino, Andre the Giant.
Yeah, he's a very technical wrestler too. Very, very technical.
Yeah, and we did a bit years ago, coming from like a MADtv sort of a feud that we did, and it was like, oh, he really attacked me, and all this stuff, and we were on the news and shit. And then, of course, a year later, it culminates in, or no, a few months later, it was like a year-long weird feud, And then a few months later, we have a wrestling match. So people are like, "Oh, the cat's out of the bag." But some people will still say, like, "Oh no, it started. It was legit when it started." So doing any of that stuff. Look, you go into the wrestling ring in the afternoon with these performers who are, to me, some of the most interesting artists because they they fuse acting and this athletic display with the just the craziest extent of theater, and it's also the Roman Colosseum, and there's all sorts of drama and pageantry, and it's just like anyone walking in the room when someone's watching wrestling, like, what are these guys in their underwear? Anyway, he's got shiny underwear with his name on it. It makes no sense to unless you've sort of watched it for a long time or been privy to it in some way. So for me, being a super dork for the stuff, to go in there in the afternoon with a Bret Hart or Stone Cold or whomever, and okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And I'm just like, what? Bret Hart was basically, "Don't move until I move you," is what he said. Like,
And when
just
Bret Hart talks, you listen.
yeah, he's like, "Yeah, I drop you, you do, like, I'm going to do all this weird." He's like, you do physical comedy and they shoot you through walls over there at MADtv. You played football growing up. I'm like, no, 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 no. This is not the same. And it worked because, and I always say, Bret Hart could have a match with a 300-pound bag of flour because on that day he did. He was just like, "Don't move." Then he picks you up and does something else. "Don't move." Picks you up, starts stomping on you, and he made it look, again. He could have a 5-star match with a suitcase. Very weird for me to be a part of it.
That's awesome, man. No, it's great to hear like stories like that. And actually, you know what? You even like I said, you dressed up as Hulk Hogan. I think it was like multiple times and stuff like that. And it was sad that he passed away. I was totally shocked, man, because I don't know. I saw recent interviews with him, and he looked fine to me. And it's like that's how it just happens like that. But you got to meet him as well, and like I guess like it was
Yeah,
pretty sad when he passed away, right?
yeah, yeah. I met him a few times. It's interesting. He was, as a kid, that was, to me, that was Superman. That guy kicks Superman's ass. Uh, there was no bigger superhero than Hulk Hogan, period.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was sad. It's like, I guess the thing that and it's not my place to say this, but it is unfortunately the truth. A lot of wrestlers, obviously, some of them don't make it into their into what we would consider their autumn years. A lot of them are checking out way too early. So for Hulk to make it to, what was he, 71 or 70?
71, I
Something
believe.
like
Yeah.
71. It's when you think about what he put his body through in all sorts of ways. Um, it's is it a nice long life? No, like you said, he was still looking pretty good. Had a bunch of back surgeries and probably couldn't stand up for very long, but was still like lifting weights and shit and being the Hulkster and all that stuff. It's interesting. I mean, whatever. Superman's not supposed to get old, so
Yeah, and Hulk
it
Hogan too. Yeah, Hulk Hogan is like not even just him, like every wrestler. It's like it's a very strenuous, thing to do to be a wrestler. That people don't understand that. I watched The Iron Claw, the movie, and it's like, dude, you see what these people go through. It's not a joke. So that plays a
yeah.
big
I
part.
mean, yeah, and that's what I mean by, like, it's not my I'm an actor, so it's like I kind of watch that stuff, marveling that they can do all that and then also act at the same time. And I have no clue what that must be like. These, even just sort of knowing some wrestlers here and there, as much or as little as I have. It's like, oh, that guy's in a lot of pain. What happened? Oh, this and that, and I fucking, and I shouldn't have come back from this injury, and my back's fucked up. It's like, Jesus, yeah, take a break, have a sponge bath, and have somebody read to you. And they don't. They just go off. They're very committed to what
Hmm.
they do, and again, I don't know. It's not my place to say, but yeah, a lot of them check out early.
Hmm.
Wow. That's interesting. I never thought about it that way. You're doing two things in one. It's and yeah, they never
Yeah,
stop. Wow, that's
yeah. And
interesting.
they don't have, and wrestlers always say like, we don't have an off season. It's not like there's a Super Bowl and then it's over.
Yeah,
So a lot of them work themselves completely into the ground, you know?
yeah. They just keep going. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see it. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
well,
But
tell
I
us.
like, I enjoy, I'll sit on the couch and watch it. How's that?
A lot easier that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell us, there's that famous moment in Entourage where you get Jeremy Piven to break his character a little bit. Can you walk us through that? Like what happened during that and kind of after? What was his reaction? Did you guys tell or
That's one of the greatest shows, man.
yeah,
Oh, yeah. I remember. I know what you're talking about. Where I'm poor Rex Lee. I'm like,
yeah,
well, what happened was we were doing the scene, and um, my character is trying to pick up on Rex Lee because I'm this big syndication machine, like big TV writer that
yeah,
Jeremy Piven's character Ari is trying to land, and I've got eyes for his assistant. And so, but Rex, they had this all this seafood in front of me.
hmm,
So they're pitching me like, hey, if you come over to our agency, blah blah blah. And when Rex would talk, I would be like, the line. There's literally the line. The script is like, have you ever had a sand dab, Lloyd? Some kind, it's like whatever, some kind of ground bottom feeder fish or something. No, I can't say that I have. Well, here, try some. I'll put that fork away. But every time I would do it, every take, I would get like a bigger chunk of fish, and then at one point I took this big like giant like declawed lobster claw. It's all floppy, and I think that's when I was trying to shove that into poor Rex's face. That's where Jeremy had to break because it was just and like actors, he's not going to deny. We're in the middle of the scene. No
yeah.
one said cut, so poor Rex had to eat a bunch of chilled seafood.
I think it was the
But
slap too when you went like, "Oh no, put that fork away," and then,
Yeah.
oh yeah, slap his hand away and
oh, that's so
no,
fun.
nothing. Yeah, nothing more. No, there's few things more creepy than someone not allowing you to eat with your own fork and insisting on on feeding you, especially when you're in the position that his character is in, which is to
Yeah.
just go with whatever happens.
Yeah. But I noticed Jeremy played it off pretty well. Like he laughed and then he kind of like composed himself and then came serious again. Like, did you guys
Yeah.
notice that in real time too, though? Or did you notice it after? Or did someone tell you like years later? Or
No, we were just having a bunch of laughs. I didn't realize until it was in the show. I was like, oh, I think a little. I mean, we were cracking up and stuff, but yeah,
yeah.
some of it made it in, which was a shock to see.
Yeah. You don't see that often, so we
Yeah.
thought that was awesome.
Cheers.
Yeah. And our last question for you, because again, I also mentioned this, you worked with Chris Farley on Beverly Hills
Mhm.
Ninja. And Chris Farley, man, what a legend. Obviously it's sad that he's no longer with us, but he was so funny in all the movies he's done, all the movies he did, even his SNL sketches, even just being alongside David Spade, man, like and just in that group with Adam Sandler and everybody. I want to know what your fondest memories were working with him and just like I don't know, getting to know somebody like that. He's been even Offset because I heard he was just such a genuine guy. He was really funny. So yeah.
Well, yeah, definitely one of the funniest people, if not maybe the funniest person to walk the earth ever. Just exuded comedy with everything that he said and everything that he did, and of course had a great comedy mind. Just an all around hilarious person who was a real saint. Like he was nice to everyone. He had like a bit with everyone on set, and was just a real. I mean, he was a real sweetheart from the brief time that I got to spend with him, and got to hang out with him a little bit, off screen, which was surreal for me. And yeah, but on set he was such a nice man. And there's one story that I tell where we were outside where we were shooting this scene, and we're here in Los Angeles where I am now, and so there's this parking lot, and they come into this what the Beverly Hills banknote or whatever. They come in, and so we're in this like little strip mall in West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, and we're outside, and we're hanging out, and there's a couple other cool people that visible people that his cohorts that were hanging out on that day, and these two dudes go walking by the set and behind this like chain link fence, and they see Chris Farley, and they fall out, and I watched this happen. They run off. They run off. Half hour later, these same guys come back with like dog-eared posters with pinholes in them and like VHS copies of Tommy Boy and Black Sheep that you could tell they just pulled this shit off the walls and out of it. They're like, Chris Farley's here. And the security guard's like, no, no, no. And Chris is like, let him in, let him in. And so these dudes like hung out for a bit, and Chris signed everything that they gave him. And I just remember A, how sweet he was, but B, also he like wrote a novel on these guys like poster, the Tommy Boy poster, which was it was just so awesome to see, because I'm exactly like these guys, just go flipping out that I'm, and then I got to do my job, but I'm like, I revere this man. And just, it was really, it was impactful for me as a young actor to be like, that's what's up. These guys love him. And what Chris Farley understood was the relationship that I think Chris Farley really understood who he was, and intrinsically, whether or not he, understood it in a concrete way, he understood that this meant something to those. This meant a lot to those guys. They love him, whatever the heck they get from it, whatever Chris has given them through his comedy. Chris really understood the value of that, and he was writing this long thing, and I just remember that over and over again, saying, "Oh, thanks, guys. Thanks. Oh, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks. Oh, thank you, guys. Thanks a lot." Like he said thanks 100 times. And it was just, super sweet. Guys like that, where you're just like, and you mentioned one of the, like Happy Gilmore or whatever, Adam Sandler, same thing, like really, really fucking sweet with everybody. It's all you ever hear. And the guy's been doing it now for 35 years, and which is really, really again, inspirational to see. I was fortunate enough to have a little part in Happy Gilmore, which we shot the year previous, and watching him deal with neighborhood kids who came to, and I'm just in the scene where we're hitting golf balls out in front of his grandma's house, and there's kids riding up on their bikes and stuff, and and the cast and crew are heading off for lunch, and he's like, I remember he's like, "Hey, don't steal anything," or whatever, joking with them. But when he comes back, they're ready to go. They're ready to shoot. It's like, where's Adam? He's still outside talking to those kids. And the production might be hemorrhaging thousands of dollars. It doesn't matter, because it's those guys that are going to watch the movie. What the fuck are we doing here? And everyone, and then anybody working with him would understand that. And also, even back then, he's the boss. So, that's really, very, like I said, really fortunate for me to get to see that, to be a young guy like 19 getting to do this shit with them, and then but also to be like, this is how you do it.
He is one of the nice. Adam Sandler especially is one of the nicest guys in Hollywood. You never hear one bad thing about him. He doesn't dress to impress either. He comes out in his shorts, plays basketball.
It's hilarious.
He's
the
like,
way he dresses.
He's a good guy.
You play some basketball. Those memes of like, you're seeing just all these like pictures of him, like, he's got like, a pair of basketball shorts and a plaid shirt, and he's shooting hoops in New York, just in the middle, just in a park somewhere with people. And I mean, whatever. There should be more people like him. It's funny to watch Adam Sandler go on a talk show or anything like that. If you ever like He should show up at like award shows wearing that shit, like wearing
He
like a
did. He
Looney
did.
Tunes hockey jersey. He did?
He went to the
Yeah.
Oscars like he went to the Oscars
did.
like that. There was a whole bit, and he was like, you saw Timothy Chalamet, he's like, Chalamet. Oh,
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Chalamet. Yeah, that's right. That was the bit that he was wearing. See, there you go.
Yeah.
I'm a nice guy. I just because I'm a nice guy. Like he's the
Yeah.
best, man. Honestly. And
I
hey,
want to
I
say
just
for
name
anybody
is him.
listening, I want to say for anybody listening that was Adam's impression of Adam Sandler, not mine.
So basically what he's saying is I can't do impressions, but I could do
No.
a good. No, I can't do an Al Pacino either. No, it's okay.
You almost got there.
Well, wait. Before we end off, I'll just do a quick little Al
Just
Pacino
so you
before we end
know.
off. Okay, so I have
Adam Pacino.
Adam Pacino. Ready? Oh, I'm gonna go to the store and get a foot-long sub. No, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't fucking do it.
I'm not even trying.
I can't do it. Sorry, Will. I let you down there, man.
That's all right. That's all right. You know,
Oh, my God.
you someday your voice box will take a different shape.
One day
And
my
you'll be
balls will
doing it.
drop. One day my balls will
Yeah,
drop.
yeah.
And then-
You improve on your Adam Pacino or your Al Sandler.
Oh my God. But anyways, man,
Oh.
listen, I want to thank you for coming on today. Me and Mike had a blast, man. It's great to
Yeah,
hear all
thanks,
these
man.
stories and to just talk about, your work and just to go through all these things and have a laugh. Again, man, we got to stay in touch. Thank you again.
Cheers.
And yeah,
Love all your
if you
work.
ever any other things that you have coming out, just shoot us a message. We'll be glad to stay in touch and help promote it for you.
Cheers. I appreciate it, guys. All
Of
right.
course.
Take care.
young men.
Yeah. Take care.
Chendan.
Kendani.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Okay.